Can the Longhorns survive a Texas-sized problem with the injury to quarterback Quinn Ewers? Maalik Murphy making his first start this Saturday. Who are some of the players to watch in Saturday's game? And also, what are some of the keys to the game for the Texas Longhorns in order for them to come out of DKR Stadium with another W, further improving their chances to make it to the Big 12 championship? We got all that and more in today's episode, so stick around because you don't want to miss a thing. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the MoBettaSports College Football Podcast. I am your host, Mr.MoBetta, and today we are going to be discussing the BYU Cougars versus the Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns finally making a trip back home to DKR Stadium. It has been almost a month since the last time the Longhorns played at home. I have a feeling it's going to be an electric atmosphere just simply for the fact that Texas fans haven't got to be in their home stadium to see their team play in a month. Now, with that being said, we have the BYU Cougars coming in at 5-2 on the season, 2-2 in conference play, coming off a very good win against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. This BYU team is coming in kind of on a seesaw this season so far. They have some really high points, they got some really low points, and right now they're kind of just traversing the middle of the field. Still in contention for the Big 12. That's the crazy thing. So the BYU Cougars are coming off their best win of the entire season, albeit against a 3-4 Texas Tech Red Raiders team. And as we know, the Big 12 goes through Lubbock. BYU came through Lubbock and put a hurting on them. BYU is coming into this game averaging 27.6 points per game on offense, 301.9 total yards per game. Breaking that down, they're averaging about 222 yards per game passing. They got 555 rush yards on the season, only averaging about 2.8 yards per carry. Their leading rusher at this point in the season, LJ Martin, only has 438 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. So they don't have a very explosive run game. The best part of BYU's offense is going to be their passing game, led by quarterback Kedon Slovis, who is a 2-time transfer, originally started his career at USC before transferring to Pitt, decided to transfer again, finds himself at BYU, and having an okay season. He's completing 56.6% of his passes, 12 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, so it's a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's doing okay, right? A 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, not terrible by any means. That being said, who are his leading receivers? The number one target for Kedon Slovis in that BYU offense is going to be Chase Roberts, wide receiver number 2, leading the team with 430 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. By no means is he the only weapon on the team. They also have a pretty solid tight end in Isaac Rex. He's not like your huge playmaker. He reminds me a lot of like a Jason Witten type. He's more of your get to the first down, catch the ball, and go down. He's not going to break big gains. He doesn't got crazy speed. He's not like a ultra athletic tight end, but he's a big body in the field that can make sure catches and get you first downs, move the sticks when he needs to. Probably their best receiver as far as big playability is concerned, Darius Lassiter, another transfer on this BYU team, wide receiver, transferred from Eastern Michigan. He and Parker Kingston have combined for 399 yards receiving on the season. But they also have 5 touchdowns, 4 of those coming from Darius Lassiter, so he's a very good red zone target. Now, going back to their rushing attack, the run game is lackluster to say the least. One thing that Texas is not going to have to worry about this week that we've had to worry about the past 2 weeks is a running quarterback. I think the D-line this week has a real potential to have a big game. They're not going to have to sit and spy Jalen Ford in coverage. They're not going to have to sit and spy Anthony Hill in coverage. The Texas D-line is going to be able to pin their ears back and try and go get after the quarterback and get some sacks. That's going to be something that BYU is going to want to eliminate this game. They don't want to be playing catch up with Texas, even with Maalik Murphy getting his first start, Quinn Ewers being out, possibly seeing Arch Manning. Even with inexperienced quarterbacks, BYU does not want to get behind the 8 ball in this game. Offensively, BYU, they're going to have to get really creative. They're going to have to present Texas with looks that they haven't seen before. When Texas is presented with looks they haven't seen before, whether that's offensively or defensively, team struggles, at least for a little bit before we get to that halftime point and make some adjustments. There are issues that still need to be addressed and things that BYU can take advantage of if they scheme the offense properly. Let's go ahead and transition to the defensive side of the ball for BYU. Who are their playmakers, and what can we expect to see from that BYU defense? One thing that I have not seen them run very often, if at all, this entire season, is the Texas killer, 3 down front, 3 deep safety. I think maybe I've seen them run a 3 down front like 2 or 3 times, and that's mostly playing prevent defense, not necessarily lining that up as their base defense. Now, we also know that Houston never did that, and Dana Holgorsen even admitted as much, that it was pretty much a day of decision. Hey, we're going to have to switch the defense that we're going with right now because it's not working. We're not going to get a stop. So they go down to that 3 down front, 3 safeties deep, and they had some moderate success against Texas all game long. BYU defense is led by linebacker Max Tooley, who leads the team with 50 tackles. Their best cover corner, who has been making plays all season long for them, currently has 4 interceptions on the season with 1 touchdown return, Jacob Robinson. He is not afraid to get up to that line of scrimmage and put his hands on receivers and to make plays on the ball. He's very good with his eyes. He gets his head around when the ball is in the air, so he's able to make plays on the ball constantly. Eddie Hackard also has multiple picks on the season. He's second on the team with 3 interceptions. Another great instinct and really good eyes defensive back. Texas is going to have their work cut out for them throwing the ball downfield against these corners. Now, I still think Texas by far has the better athletes at wide receiver, on offense in general. I mean, across the board. The O-line is better and bigger and stronger than the BYU defensive line. They can make plays. They get to the quarterback. And, they're a well-coached team, so they're going to make the plays that they need to make here and there. But overall, I think Texas's strength is actually along the front 7 on both sides of the ball. What Texas is really going to have to do, like what we did last week, get off to a fast start. But unlike last week, we pedal to the metal, all gas, no brakes. Steve was all gas, slammed on the brakes last week, and we limped out of Houston with a win. Texas has got to come out and prove that they're the most physical and most dominant team on the field. So let's go ahead and now shift to the Texas Longhorns offensive side of the ball. What does Texas need to do tomorrow in order to have success against this BYU defense? First things first, like I said, establishing the run game. Jonathan Brooks is having an All-American season. He's a mid-season All-American at this point in the year. He's got over 800 yards rushing. He's averaging over 6 yards a carry. And CJ Baxter is finally getting fully healthy. He looked very good against Houston on limited carries. I think he only had like 6 or 8 carries, something like that total in the game, including the go-ahead touchdown with 4 minutes or so remaining in the game from 16 yards out, where he just blasted up the middle and took it in for a touchdown. Nobody was gonna stop him. He looks really good right now. With the injury to Quinn Ewers, Texas is just more than likely not going to have the explosive offense that we're accustomed to seeing. That's what I would assume, right? I could be completely wrong. From what I hear and from what I understand, the players on the Texas football team right now are really, really excited to see Maalik Murphy get in there and do what he does. He's had an excellent fall so far. He had an excellent spring training. We saw him in the spring game. He was 9 of 13 for 165 yards, and he had a couple deep drops from DeAndre Moore, and he looked really good, really accurate. He was reading the field well. Now, of course, that's a Texas football spring game. That is nothing compared to what he is going to go out there and see tomorrow at 2:30. We know that Maalik Murphy has got arm talent. He's got a cannon. He can throw the ball 80 yards downfield. He's not afraid to throw the ball deep, and he's got a really good deep ball. Where Maalik Murphy struggles is in the intermediate game, which is literally the opposite of Quinn. Quinn struggled in the deep game, was excellent in the intermediate game, and that's what really made the offense so explosive, is because Sark's offense is designed to take 15 to 20 yard shots and then take you over the top and make those big plays. What's gonna be important is Maalik Murphy being able to be on time and make accurate throws, make good reads, and not just catch and throw into coverage. The great thing, as we know from the interviews that Sark has done, is that he sits every Friday with all 3 quarterbacks and has lists of plays that they're comfortable with, that they like running, and that they know they can execute on. He has a recipe for Maalik Murphy to be successful, which is incredible. That is going to save us so many headaches on the offensive side of the ball. That is only if Maalik and the rest of the team around him executes. Because while Maalik Murphy is going to be he's going to be the focal point as far as what we as fans and the coaching staffs are probably going to be watching, the team around him is equally as important, because they have got to play well. They're not going to have Quinn Ewers, who's going to be able to get them out of trouble. He's very good at protecting the ball. He doesn't commit a lot of turnovers. That is what is going to be most missing from the offense this week. We got to see Maalik Murphy make good decisions, take care of the ball, and execute the plays and execute the chances he's given to take shots downfield. Xavier Worthy, of course, coming into this game as a leading receiver with 40 receptions for 545 yards and 4 touchdowns. Adonai Mitchell, second on the team with 26 receptions, 368 yards and 5 touchdowns. Obviously those two are going to be crucial in big play situations. Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, and JT Sanders have got to come up big from Maalik Murphy. I have a feeling that JT Sanders is really going to be highlighted in this game. He's a huge mismatch target. He's an excellent ball catcher immunity. For new quarterbacks, the number one most important thing is getting into a rhythm and getting their primary receiver, their go-to receiver, established as early as possible. And I have a feeling that JT Sanders, either JT or Jordan Whittington, to be honest, he could be in that mix as well. But one of those two guys are really going to be the ones to kind of get Maalik into a rhythm and get the throwing game going, get the passing game going. With all that being said, I think the game plan coming into this week has got to be, as bad as this may sound, I don't mean this in a bad way, but really keep the ball out of Maalik Murphy's hands as often as possible. It's his first game. And while BYU is not a great team, they are not a slouch. They are still coming in 5-2. They still have some good victories on their resume, right? And they know how to play football. They're well coached. I wouldn't say keeping the ball out of Maalik's hand, but minimizing the number of plays that Maalik Murphy has got to make in the game and put Texas in position to score the football. In order to do that, the ground game has got to be the focus. Jonathan Brooks and CJ Baxter have got to collectively touch the ball between 35 and 40 times in this game, in my opinion. Those two guys have got to touch the ball early and very often. Man, I feel like it's the same old song and dance every week. Establish the ground game, win the line of scrimmage, set you up down the field. And so far, pretty much in every game this season, we've been able to do that. Hence why Jonathan Brooks is a midseason All-American and leading the FBS in rushing, right? It's just going to be different with BYU coming in knowing that Maalik Murphy is taking his first snaps of his career in this game. They're going to be keying on the run, which is why I say that Maalik Murphy, minimizing his chances to turn the ball over or to make mistakes, is pertinent. It is also of equal importance that the chances and the opportunities he does get to make his plays downfield, that he executes and delivers the ball to the appropriate receivers. What are the keys to the game when it's all said and done? Establishing the run, winning the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, minimizing the opportunities or the chances that Maalik Murphy has to make mistakes, and safety play. Our defense, I think our offense is going to be fine, to be quite frank with you. While Maalik Murphy's making his first start, I don't anticipate that this is going to be a massive struggle offensively. Where I am concerned, which I was not like this at the beginning of the season, I was completely opposite. At this point in the season, I am concerned about how teams are going to attack our secondary. Our safeties have bad eyes, they're slow, and they make mistakes constantly. Miscommunication constantly. And while that is a majority on the players, Blake Gideon, the safety coach, and PK have got to figure this shit out. I swear on my life, if I see Michael Taft and Keaton Crawford roll out onto this field at the same time this week, I'm just going to turn the game off. I don't even want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see those two on the field at the same time, period. I don't care if one of them is on the field. They cannot be on the field at the same time, and they have proven that. Derek Williams had better take every single snap at safety. I'm tired of this rotation shit at this point. The rotation in the secondary has got to stop. The D-line is cool. We have a deep defensive line. It makes sense to continue to rotate those guys, get them fresh, get fresh legs in to attack that defense or to attack that O-line and get sacks on the quarterback. It don't make sense to rotate the secondary at this point in the season. We know who's going to make plays and who ain't. We know who is a liability and who ain't. And the two biggest liabilities are Keaton Crawford and Michael Taft. So please, for the love of Pete's sake, do not trot them out on the field together. I hope that we get to see Derek Williams. And if Catalan is healthy, I would love to see Catalan there. But if not, I'm tired of seeing Jaron Thompson. I don't want to see him when we have deep passing opportunities available, don't want to see him on the field either because he gets beat constantly. I want to see Jahdae Barron stuck back in the safety mix. Roll Jalen Gilbo out to that star position. Put your best players on the field. Why aren't we putting our best players on the field? That's what we need to do. So that's going to be the key to the game defensively. We're going to need to cover well and get to the quarterback. Cover well, get to the quarterback. We can do that and we're going to have a hell of a game. I fully expect that our run game is going to continue to be dominant as it has been all season long. Last week only allowed 14 yards rushing to Houston. After giving up 115 yards to Dylan Gabriel, Donovan Smith, I think, had like maybe 3 or 4 rushing yards, if not less than that, from sacks. That is the kind of statistical performance that we need if we're going to hope to pull away in this game. BYU, decent, a 5-2 team. You got to give them the credit for what they've done all season long. But by no means do they have better athletes on their team. TCU beat this team 44-11. It's going to come down to execution and really just coaching at the end of the day. If I had to go out on a limb here, I say we probably have less than 200 yards passing. We have over 200 yards rushing in this game. Texas, even though without Quinn Ewers and without an explosive pass game, I think they're going to find their rhythm offensively. And I think Maalik Murphy is actually going to do well. I think Sark knows what he's got at quarterback and he knows that his players can execute. And I expect them to have a pretty decent game. I want to say Texas is going to win this game. I think we get ahead early, much like Houston, but this time I don't think we let up on the lead. Maybe BYU in trash time gets some big plays and scores a touchdown or two. Who knows? But I think Texas has all the tools necessary to dominate this game and continue their push to the Big 12 title. Move on to 7-1 before we got Kansas State next week, which is going to be a huge game. If we stick to who we are as a team, we execute and we play disciplined and physical football, we should have no problems with this BYU team. I think Texas is going to get out of there with a 38-17 victory, move on to 7-1, and we can start looking forward to Kansas State. All right, man, I'm not going to hold you guys any longer. That's all I got for you today. Texas, 2:30 p.m. coming back home to DKR to take on the BYU Cougars. It's going to be a great game. You do not want to miss it. It is Saturday Eve, of course. We only got 24 hours until the Texas team takes the field, and I cannot wait. If you have stuck around to this point, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already, and turn on those notification bells so you never miss anything that we have coming out for you. Because remember, no matter where you look, there's no better place than MoBettaSports for your latest football takes. I'm Mr. MoBetta, and I am out. Peace.